How's everyone doing? This is the Walker Roundtable. The topic for tonight is what are some nostalgic things from childhood that you wish you could make come back? I'm RJ. Welcome to the Walker Roundtable. Let's go around and introduce ourselves.
I'm Jeff Walker Sr., Papa J.
I'm Jeffrey Jr., Bobby.
And I'm Justin.
So, Bear, let's start with you. What's on your mind as far as nostalgic things that you would bring back?
Well, the first thing that comes to my mind is the mall. The mall is one of those things that I feel like is was a staple in our childhood as far as like growing up. The social aspect of going to the mall, hanging out with your friends, talking to girls. Like the mall was like the number one hangout spot for any kid that grew up in the 90s. And so it's it's uh it's one of those things where it's like you think of the mall nowadays, it's like a pastime because things like Amazon, things like all of that kind of stuff where COVID made home delivery so easy and so convenient. I feel like people just don't have a need or an urgency to leave their house anymore to get things that they need. And so that kind of took the urgency out of going to the mall. And I think social media kind of ripped away the social element of it. And so now I feel like a lot of people are lacking face-to-face, social skills. And I think the mall was that perfect opportunity for people to sharpen those skills, to meet people in person, to get a girl's phone number, right? And now you don't need to do that no more. You can just do all of that from the comfort of your own home. You can, order your food off Amazon. You can order your food off of Walmart's website. You don't have to go to the mall to talk to anybody. You can just put a dating app on your phone. And so I think, you know, I'm not saying that I want things like Amazon or Facebook or Instagram or dating apps to be disinvented. Um, but I do feel like there needs to be some type of incentive to get people out of the house because I feel like a lot of people are suffering the consequences of no social skills. And I'm seeing that every day as a teacher. I'm seeing that every day, when I see kids glued to their phones, instead of talking to a friend that's right next to them, and it's like, you'd rather be on your phone, in your screen, in a room full of people, and you're not talking to nobody. And so like that to me is like something that I feel like should make a comeback in some type of way. I don't know in what form it's going to take. Um, but if we can somehow make the younger generation want to actually get up and go out to socialize and congregate in places together, I think that'll be better, for society in general because like people nowadays don't even want to go to the club anymore. I mean, like you look at a video of folks in the club, folks are just standing around, you know, not acting like, they know how to dance. I mean, folks are just holding up the wall. And I feel like a lot of that stems from lack of social skills. And I feel like, the mall is something that was pivotal in helping to foster those social skills. So I wish that makes a comeback.
Did you buy anything when you was at the mall?
I mean, in my heyday,
Not
you
in your
know,
heyday, you didn't have no money. I didn't
I mean,
have
in,
none
in my
either.
in my heyday, like I went to the mall with $20 in a dream, man, and I was like, hey, like I had a good time, hanging out with my
Came
best
back with
friend. We
five
going we
numbers.
going we go into the mall. We talk to some girls. We go see a movie. Go to the food court, and like that $20 was hitting. It's like it didn't cost much to go to the mall and just hang and just chill. And it's like now. I mean, like you need $100 just to step outside. I mean, like so it's like
It's true.
it's one of those things where it's like, inflation. Maybe that's a big part of it. Inflation too. Like folks just don't got no extra money to spend, and so hey, maybe folks
Not
don't go to
now.
the yes, maybe folks don't go to the mall because of that reason too. Yeah. But what about
Hmm.
you, Bobby? What's
I
something
mean,
that you
I
think
have a
should make
lot
a
of
comeback?
them. I have a lot of things um, that I felt are nostalgic from our childhood. Mm, Blockbuster.
Oh, that was
Hmm.
fine. Take it off the
Is that
list.
true? Okay, I'll
Oh,
Hmm.
let
good
I'll
Lord.
let you talk about Blockbuster.
Oh, yeah,
But
you
I'll
got Blockbuster. I'll talk about another one that reminds me of
Uh,
Blockbuster.
okay,
Want me to
so
talk about Blockbuster? Let me tell you about
yeah, talk about
Blockbuster that had
Blockbuster.
about 4 or 5 spin-off type stores. Uh,
Hmm.
you know, rent a movie kind of stores. I mean, they were just once Blockbuster came on the scene, Blockbuster was Blockbuster. You could go to Blockbuster, get a movie, get all of your snacks, bubble gum, popcorn, all of that good stuff, peanut M&Ms. I used to love those. And it even smelled like the movies. You ever
Hmm.
notice that? You go on a Blockbuster, they were popping popcorn somewhere. They made that store smell like the movies. And God, man, Blockbuster, you could rent a movie. I think it was $3 back then. And then they
And
charge
video games too.
Yeah, and then they charge you like a buck if it was late a day or some crap like that. But
Hmm.
man, Blockbuster was it for me because I couldn't go to the movies with y'all because I used to have those incidents where y'all would be watching a movie or something, some baby was crying, one of y'all, and I had to walk the halls with one of y'all. I couldn't
Mm.
watch the movie. Your mommy in there with the rest of y'all watching the movie. So yeah, Blockbuster was the bomb. If they could bring something like that back from my childhood, not my childhood, but those golden years, I guess. Bring it back. But go ahead, Bobby. I saw you Blockbuster. What else you got?
No, that one is you deserve to have that one. You
Oh,
got basically a Blockbuster right now.
mm.
Um, what about the budget movies? Those
Oh,
budget
you took my other
theaters.
one.
See, yeah. See,
Man,
you want to talk about that one? I got a bunch of
oh
other
man.
ones. So go ahead and talk about that one
Let me
too.
tell you something. They should take your mama to the movie for $1 on Tuesday. Oh, good Lord.
Well,
I can't get to the movie for less than $25 now. But hey,
well, per person. Yeah,
a buck
yeah.
shot for a new movie? Man, it was movie Tuesday for us when we was dating. And after that,
You,
man, I
you
used to
talk
go to
you
the movie.
talk about the one over on Good Hope, right?
It
Yeah,
was
that was
in
the
Northridge
budget.
Mall. It was no, we went to Northridge Mall. Actually, it was for all of I think Marcus theaters or something like that. It was $1 Tuesday you can get in, and there was a couple Marcus theaters. One was in Mayfair, one was in um, Northridge Mall, Southridge Mall had a theater. Then you had Old Capitol Court had a theater. Man, yeah, I remember going there on a date or two. But yeah, no, or Capitol Court had a theater. Then downtown Milwaukee had like three on Wisconsin Avenue. But yeah, for Tuesdays, Dollar Tuesday. And they
And then
were
there was the budget movie theater that was down the street from our house too. I think that was the one that
yeah.
Ryan talking
That
about.
that's the one. Yeah, that's the one I'm talking about. That was the one I remember. I remember distinctly going to see Lion King in like 1995 or 1992, whenever that movie came out, and I was so excited. And that was the one where like we would go and you know how we would do it. He bring the candy, bring the candy
Oh,
with
yeah,
you.
Mama bring the big purse.
Mama
Yeah.
bring
Oh
the
yeah.
big purse. Mama bring the big purse. Bring the candy with her, boy. We all be in there. Mama, we ain't ever need to go to the. And you know what?
Hey,
That's a black woman like treasure right there. That's something that our women understand. Like, and I used to, we took it for granted, I think, but as kids, going to the movie, that was such gold. Like having young parents on a budget, You had three hungry boys wanting to eat, and mom would go to Sam's Club, get all this candy, and put it in her purse, just bring it right in. And then we just get fed. And it would be funny because it was like, it would and she would have all kind of stuff. I remember not just
Oh God,
candy,
yeah.
like all kind of food and stuff.
You know what that remind me of? So, okay, so two things. One is that we would have the canned sodas in there. It'd be the quietest part of the movie, and somebody open up that can. You know you're not supposed to have no canned sodas in the movie theater.
But
So that was the
then,
first thing.
but then it'll be somebody in a row, somebody in a row in front of us that'll do the same thing and look back and laugh and smile.
And yeah, they know they brought their own hot dogs. And
Yeah,
then
yeah, exactly.
the other thing that it made me think of just now, y'all remember that I think it's maybe the first one of the first episodes of Boondocks where it was Huey, Riley, and Granddad and Jasmine, the little girl. They snuck into the movie theater. Jasmine was all scared because she didn't want to sneak in, and Riley was, being Riley.
I remember
You remember
that.
that? And so
And
Granddad,
he had like did he sneak in like chitlins or something or like fried
no,
chicken something?
no, he snuck in a pot roast. I'm pretty
Oh
sure he
man.
snuck in a pot roast. So
Oh
and
man.
Jasmine wanted them to buy the snacks, so she was crying in the seat. And
Because
what's his
she
name?
said this is
Rucker was
illegal.
that was illegal. Rucker was the one that was he was working at the movie theater and trying to catch them sneaking in. Yeah,
Uncle
anyway, that's
Ruckus. Yeah,
Uncle Ruckus. Yeah,
yeah,
that
yeah.
classic.
So
Okay.
fun.
All right, so okay, so I got something.
Mm.
Um, let's see. Do y'all remember burning CDs?
Yeah.
Burning CDs, burning DVDs. I remember there was a guy in my I think I was in high school, and there was a guy who uh, made it an entire business. Like he created a whole business for himself. He was the only one in our classes that had a DVD or not a DVD, a CD burner. So what we would do every day was give him an order, our order, and say, okay, well, I want the Tupac album, I want the whatever album, and the next day, he come to school with it, burnt on a CD, a blank CD, had his Sharpie out, marked it up to let us know what it was, and he was making 5, 6, maybe $10 no, maybe not that much, maybe about $5 a CD.
Mm.
Right? He had a whole business, and he was doing that for at least a year or
Yeah.
more,
Them
making
yeah,
money.
high school kids had them hustles. I mean, like I remember burning them CDs off of LimeWire. I remember I used to burn Daddy's DVDs off of DVD Shrink. You know, all these little programs that we had back in the day. But like you was talking about like kids hustling CDs. Like I remember like kids back in my day, they was hustling like little bags of candy. Like they would be having those little bags of candy that they would buy from like Sam's Club for like $10 or whatever, and then individually bag them up for like and like sell those bags for like $1 a piece, and so they'll make like triple the profit off it.
Oh
And so
yeah.
like oh yeah, like and I remember like the only time I did something like that, I remember I was hustling like homework passes. Cause like I had like I don't know if I was the only one with like a copy machine, like but I was copying I was copying homework passes and selling those to people who didn't want to do their homework. So I was like, I got a bunch of homework passes, like here, $1 a piece. I was
Hey,
selling
why
those in
not?
high school. I'm like, hey,
Let me tell
but
you, on the going back to the DVD thing, right?
mhm.
Who's my favorite, well, I guess, movie? If I had to go to the shelf and get a movie, what series of movies did you think I'd take out?
James Bond.
James Bond.
Bond, right?
Mhm.
So back in the day, this guy had bought all of the James Bond films on VHS and Beta, and he had the CD, the big CD-ROM. And I met this guy at Sears one day. He was a clerk at Sears or something like that, and he had brought in movies and he was watching Bond. So I kind of snuck into that section of the Sears. I was watching Bond with him. We got in that conversation. Yeah, I can get you all of the Bond movies. I had about 2 of them. I came and visited that store every week to collect my VHS Bond movie, the latest. And he finally gave me, I had the whole set on VHS. And then when I bought the first DVD player, I got rid of those. I think I might still have one, maybe. I doubt it. But I bought them all on Blu-ray. So I got them all on Blu-ray now. But yeah, I mean, Jesus Christ, those guys were bootlegging everything back then. If they could get into the movies with a video camcorder and record it that way, they were bootlegging those movies too.
Oh, I watched a few. I watched my share of bootleg movies on VHS. By the way, did y'all hear that there's folks that are, speaking of being nostalgic, are starting to try to seek out VHS tapes because they're trying to get away from digital and streaming and all of that stuff, and so they're looking to find whoever has VHS or whoever's trying to allow for borrowing of VHS tapes so that they can watch it old school, so to speak, right? And
I mean, who's selling VCRs now?
that's what
Like,
I'm
where
saying.
they
Like you
where they
get
going?
a VHS tape, I guess, but how
Where
you
you gonna
gonna
get a
watch it?
VCR?
Yeah.
Hey, I got a high-end VCR sitting in the shelf over here.
And it works just like it did on day one,
Work
bro.
because we watched Justin's first day of school movie on it. Remember?
Oh, that's
Where
my
is
favorite
that?
movie. Yeah.
Where
I
is
got
that
it.
tape at?
It's on the shelf. I got it on the shelf.
It's always hiding from me. I never know where it is, but everybody else know where it is.
No,
It's on
you
the shelf.
probably hide it because of how you was acting that first day. You hide
Yeah.
it
Hey,
from everybody.
I ain't embarrassed by that tape. I was 4 years old. I
Oh,
was scared of school. Like, what you expect me to do? Folks was making
oh
fun of me.
man.
Like, folks was making fun of me talking about, oh yeah, Justin, it's going like you gonna have fun. I know y'all was lying. I knew y'all was lying. I was
No,
like,
you had fun that first day. That first day of
They
school
did.
was that
oh,
first day of school, boy, for you was
but my instincts were right about that school though. I did not like Stewart at all. That was maybe that's why I'm such a good teacher now because I know what bad teachers are like because of that
oh,
school. Like
Yeah.
that school was full of some bad teachers, man. I did not like that school at all.
But that's a funny tape though.
Yeah, it
Okay.
is.
So
yeah,
oh,
I got
one more,
okay.
and then I'll jump. Okay. And I think this one is one that you could tell us more about most about Daddy. So everybody has a cell phone
Hmm.
nowadays. But if you lose your cell, just think about the scenario where if you are out somewhere and you lose your cell phone
Hmm.
and you need to make a call, what do you do?
Gas station, maybe.
Does a gas station have a phone in there that you could use? You know what I'm saying?
I,
Like you would need to maybe find some kind of random store to go in and try to ask them to use the phone. But it got me thinking, there used to be payphones
Payphones.
everywhere that you look. There's
Hmm.
no payphones anymore. And I think I might have used a payphone maybe once or twice in my life. And so I wonder what it would look like if there were payphones around, mixed in with all of the cell phone technology that we have today. You know,
the payphones served one purpose.
germs.
Uh,
Hmm.
they were a cesspool of filth. They were the worst. I don't know how people use those things all those years. Even the telephones that we used to have in the homes, where um, it was just a house phone, just your house phone.
But nobody cleaned it. Like that wasn't a regular
Just
thing.
get on the phone. Nobody cleaned it. Nobody got COVID or anything, but still, there was a bunch of bad breath people probably using our phone, and my phone. That's how your mama met me, on
Oh,
that
because she
red
had to
phone.
use her friend or
You
something
had,
had to use the
you
phone.
had to use the telephone.
That famous red phone
Yeah,
Red
yeah,
phone, the
that's
bat phone, baby. But you know, I was thinking about that one, Bobby, with telephones and stuff. But
Mhm.
one thing that's on my list is um, letters. Have you ever received a handwritten letter,
Yeah.
from people, rather than an email message or, a telephone call or something, or a text message? When I was in college, when I was in college, even before college, and I used to get handwritten letters from coaches, right? Telling me that, all of the accolades that they saw me have when I was playing ball and all this good stuff, blah, blah, blah. And they would sign these, and it was not something that was drawn up, it was a handwritten letter, dear Jeff, saw your game this day, blah, 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 and I really, miss those types of notes like that, because I used to get a bunch when I was in college because there were no cell phones. We couldn't afford a telephone in the room for any length of time because nobody could pay the bill. But man, we used to run to that post office. We had a post office on campus just to get our mail to see if somebody had written us. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
that's something you don't see that no more. I can't even remember the last time I got anything in the mail that somebody personally wrote me. Can't
Mhm.
Yeah,
remember.
it
But
doesn't happen
nope.
anymore. I need to send you a letter.
Yeah, send me something. Kenny. Send me something. Kenny sends me a Kenny. Your uncle Kenny sends me a birthday letter every year, and he puts money in it.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Hey,
$50.
tell him to send me something for my birthday. It's on Saturday.
I
I'm
know
the only
Layla
one.
birthday
I'm the
coming
only
up
one of
too.
his siblings he remembers. I remember his birthday, and I should send him something because it's April 9th. So we got to send your
Okay,
Uncle
it's
Kenny
coming up.
something. We
It's
got to
coming
send him something. April, he does it every year. I'm gonna do it this year. I'm gonna send him $100 or something. I got to do something,
up.
you know. But anyway,
Yeah.
What
keep
else we
going.
got? We got a bunch of them. What you got, Justin?
Um, Playing outside. Kids don't play outside no more. And it's like it's one of those it's a strange thing where it's like I feel that playing outside was a cornerstone of childhood. Just being outside until the street lights came on, being outside, you know, just riding bikes, being outside and, with, the water guns and, playing outside, in the summertime with the sprinkler. Like you don't see none of that no more with kids. Like every one of these kids are indoor kids now. And it makes me think of like I saw a certain situation. I'm not gonna say who it was, but I saw this kid and he was 15 years old, right? And I saw him in his living situation, and like I'm seeing this kid with his mother, and I'm like, this kid, he doesn't get any exposure to sunlight. He's just in the house all day, no activity outside, and it's like this kid is just he looks like he spends all his time indoors and it shows. And it's like, you know, none of these kids have hobbies that include going outside with friends. And so, like, to me, that's a pastime that I feel like is dying too. And it's like, and then when you do see kids outside, you know, it'll be kids that'll be like in hoodies and skull caps and it's 90 degrees outside. And it's like, why are you dressed like that? Why are you, you know, in clothing that is total opposite of what the weather calls for? And it's like sometimes you'll have weird kids that'll be like, dressed like it's summertime, but it's 30 degrees outside. And it's like, yo, why are you in shorts and slides when it's about to snow outside? And it's like, like I don't understand a lot of these kids nowadays and their mentalities of how it relates to being outside and going outside and trying to play or whatever. Cause like I just think they don't do it. And so it's one of those things where, like I feel like normal childhood behavior is slowly dying off. And that's one thing that I noticed as far as like kids playing outside, because there's kids in our neighborhood, I see them, they used to play basketball, from time to time in that little circle cul-de-sac. But I don't even see that no more, you know.
So they at school they do play outside, right? There's 2 and 3 recesses a day.
Uh,
But when they're in the neighborhood after school during the summer, it sounds like not every little kid is outside like that much anymore.
uh,
I mean, it depends on the kid, right? But I do see that um, more and more too. It kind of is related to one of those things, those nostalgic things that I have that I kind of miss, which is, do y'all hear ice cream trucks anymore?
very
You
rarely,
don't hear them like you used to, right?
very rarely.
No
Yeah.
way.
I mean, I remember getting, it was like a was it a Sonic ice cream with the gumball eyes and stuff that I used to like a lot. I like those push-up ones, uh,
Hmm.
all of that stuff, and it would be a whole ice cream truck with the song, and all the little kids playing outside would already be outside, and then the few that were still inside, they would just run outside too the minute that they heard that song. You don't see
Hmm.
that too much anymore. I
Well,
mean, we out
Ice cream
here,
trucks.
yeah, out here you see every once in a while we'll see like the Paleta man or somebody like that at the beach selling
Hmm.
ice cream out of like out of like the little carts and stuff, right?
Hmm.
But not the ice cream truck like Big Worm from Friday pulling up, right? I don't see that much anymore.
Hmm.
no, I remember. I remember that though. If I can chime in, I apologize. My daughter is sick, and she's been getting up. So having to be a father and going back and forth. So it's the reality of it. But I think that it's a common thing. I think the golden era of when we were growing up in the '90s. I think it's a different sort of period of time that we in. It's a less innocent time. It's more of an artificial time. It's a technology and an information time. And I think the humanity has been lost, right? So I think that it goes along. I think some of the best times that's nostalgia to me really made an impact. I think it goes along with everything, like just the spirit of being outside, right? Like, oh, I just want to go outside and play basketball or go play tag or just be outside in the backyard and getting some fresh air. I think it goes to having this development that's different. But it was a different time. It was a more innocent time. But I think too, I also think about the times we were indoors and you had these black TV shows that were staples, right? And I'm talking about not, like, so the TV that we have now is so robust and so just there's so much of it in different platforms, but we were forced to watch like certain shows. Hey Justin, can you mute your mic?
Sure.
Yeah, because I think the feedback. Because we're forced to watch certain shows during certain periods of time, right? So whether it's Family Matters, which was a big one, Steve Urkel, Carl Winslow, Eddie Winslow, God rest his soul, The Fresh Prince, which was great with Will Smith, Alfonso Rivera, and then the Cosby Show, right? Which was like the foundation for a lot of us, the first time seeing a black rich family, like, and it was normal, a doctor, a lawyer, and then even Fresh Prince, Uncle Phil was a lawyer, and Aunt Viv was a lawyer, and she's like a professor, and they have this black, like you can see black excellence, and it's something that can be attainable. So like seeing that, I think for me, I always felt like I can do it, but then on top of that, growing up in the Midwest, like Martin was my favorite show. Like, so, seeing a middle class brother who I can identify with both sides of my family. And he reminded me, um, he reminded me of kind of this split between, like, he reminded me of like my grandfather, like being young, right? I think he kind of encapsulated Papa Bill to me like, you know, when Papa Bill first moved from down south to up north. And he had that same way of thinking, the way he thought about his work ethic, his hustle, you know, even the way he described the code. I just always saw my grandfather in Martin Lawrence. And then the show was just so funny. So I think seeing those shows where you saw black excellence and black comedy and it was feel good times and it was like the only thing that you were forced to watch during that block of time. You were forced to watch the commercials. You were just forced to watch it. It was an amazing experience, and I think that if we could bring back the spirit of the '90s in that way, because I think you know you had all of that wrapped into humanity, right? You know, and the people are just more innocent, and you can relate to people. Versus now, it's everything's so segmented, and you don't have that. You get what I'm saying? Like you don't have that, and I think for me, like you know, the closest thing that we had to that recently hasn't been a TV series, but the only thing that you were able to really see it in our culture was the Black Panther, right? So you had Black Panther 1 and 2, which you know expresses the first like showings of the royal a Black royal family that has international power, and you don't really see that dynamic, but you saw that in the '90s every week. So that's what I wish we could bring back.
I got something that's kind of related to that, which
Mhm.
is so BET Rap City, The Basement. Y'all remember that,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And 106 in Park, right? All of those shows. I would even throw in uh and one mixtape.
Hmm.
You know, like I would love to have those types of things come back, right? And see like hot sauce on the court, or
Oh,
you remember
Yeah.
him, and I forgot the other guy. Uh,
Spider, I think his name was
it
another
was
one.
so many. Of course, Skip to My Lou and all, you know,
Yeah.
everybody who was on there. I would love to see that come
Alton
back.
Lister. That's Alton
The
Lister, wasn't
the
it?
professor.
The Professor, yes,
Mhm.
Diddy, yeah.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, the Professor and the Air Up There and all of these dudes, they had so many skills. Um, and it was, it was a culture thing for us for sure. This one I think you would appreciate, Diddy. And I was surprised to see a store the other day that was still open, but music stores where they're selling uh vinyl, right? Like Sam Goody.
Hmm.
I know there's no Sam Goodies or nothing like that anymore, but I did see a store, I can't remember the name of it recently, that was
Yeah.
still open. I was surprised. It was like seeing a Blockbuster.
We got
And,
one here. We got one here. I took Betty to it. It's on 19th Street
Yeah.
downtown.
but it's like
Yeah.
one in the whole city. Like,
It's on 19th and Yale. We went a couple of years back during
Festival. It
it
was,
was like a festival, and then we went again.
yeah.
We went
You
again,
got
but
to do that.
it's in the yeah. We can go. We can go anytime. Oh, it's in the Heights, and it's actually a mainstay. So like they get because the environment is real eclectic in that area. So you get a lot of a lot of people go there and get it, and they got it's just a lovely place to be. I like that
You
side of
know,
town.
yeah, we got to go. We got to go back to that store. That store reminds me of, and if folks are listening from Milwaukee, Radio Doctors, the biggest and the baddest record store on the planet. Radio Doctors on Valete, I believe it was Valete Street, Third and Valete, somewhere like that. It was across the street from Johnny Walker's, which
mhm,
was this fly guy, super fly, stylistic store for men.
mhm.
You know, so if you went to Johnny Walker's, then you went to Radio Doctors to get Marvin Gaye or something like that. You know, it went hand in hand. But and down the street from that was a store, a hat store called Lee Lewis, and that's when you buy your fedoras and your
Yeah,
Apple
that's
hat.
Papa Walker right there. I know he went to that store. I'm
Ah, he
sure.
went to Lee Lewis. You know, you could buy a Stetson out of Lee Lewis, man, and you know those stores. And then right in Milwaukee, they had, I guess, a pod of stores on Wisconsin Avenue, and then coming around to State Street. It was State Street that Radio Doctors and Johnny Walker's was on, I believe. But they had None But Shoes, Tom McCann Shoes, Lee Lewis. um, Johnny Walker's, and there was another store there. And they were all, I mean, you could get dressed up. I mean, if you took your check, you could walk a half a block and get dressed up and take home some good music at the same time.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
got one for you.
Mm-hmm.
Bring back the violent cartoons. I love
I
those.
was just about to say that.
Like
I,
what? I got yeah. You made me think of one,
Oh
but
man,
what are you
I
thinking
want to
about?
see the coyote get blown to
Oh, that,
smithereens. I want to use someone's language. I want to see him get obliterated. You know? Man, I used to love those. And, no, and hey, man, that goes back when I was a kid. Saturday morning cartoons. I
Mhm.
couldn't wait for Roadrunner. I couldn't wait for Bugs Bunny. Elmer Fudd. Elmer Fudd's cast, or not Elmer Fudd, Bugs Bunny's cast had about, I'd say about 30 characters
Mhm.
from, what was it? Longhorn, Faghorn, the rooster.
hmm
He had, I mean,
It was him
Elmer
and Daffy too,
Fudd,
right?
huh?
Daffy was with him too, right?
Daffy get his beak blown off with a
Mhm.
shotgun.
or blown around his
Remember
head.
that? Come
Yosemite
on, man.
Sam, all the
Yeah. Oh, oh, come on, man. And then they had
basically all the Space Jam characters were rolling with
the
Bugs
Looney
Bunny.
Tunes,
Yeah.
Tasmanian Devil. Oh, Lord.
I remember Daddy used to have all of those when I was little. I remember watching one in particular. It was a Bugs Bunny episode where he is a barber. Do you remember that one? And he's like shaving somebody and he's
Yeah, it was,
massaging them with his feet on his
yeah,
head.
yeah.
Like I
Rubbing his
remember watching
toes.
that one. Yeah.
Oh, man, yeah. Oh, those are stuff like that. You bring that back from my childhood. I'll sit in front of the TV all day watching that stuff. You know, come on, man. That stuff is classic. That stuff is classic.
Yeah, I had a couple more too. Like I was thinking of like, when y'all said Blockbuster, immediately my mind went to Toys R Us,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Because like with Toys R Us, like I said, kids don't play outside no more. Like I don't think a lot of kids play with toys anymore either. Like when was the last time you saw a kid prefer a toy like a Super Soaker over like a game in their phone or something? Like you don't see kids playing with like toys anymore. Like we used to play with like the race cars and Nerf guns and Super Soakers. We had all those toys growing up as a kid. And now these kids, their toys is their iPhone. That's their tablets. And you don't see kids playing with like toys anymore. And it's like that type of thing. I feel like it's kind of a lost childhood experience. Is like kids don't have toys anymore. They have technology. Hey, there you go. Um, and another thing that I wish would come back that I never really experienced, but I wish I had experienced back in the day was neighborhood block parties. Like I feel like block parties where neighbors would like get together or just like come outside. Like when was the last time you saw like all your neighbors just like outside just like hanging out?
So we didn't,
Will
I
the
mean,
Left.
not in our neighborhood. We
I
didn't have
know.
those, but we saw them on TV.
Yeah, but that's exactly what I was thinking though. Like I wish
Yeah,
I wish we had
it would
that
have
kind
been
of
nice, maybe.
experience where it's like because like our neighbors across the street, like are nice people. But like imagine like we had like just like neighbors where, like every Saturday or Sunday or whatever, we just hanging out like on the street, just like, cook out whatever, and then just like having that camaraderie in the neighborhood. Like I don't feel like you have that like anywhere really. Like you don't really see that. You may have seen that in some movies or in some TV sitcoms, but like I feel like that may have been a thing like back in the day, but like it wasn't. Maybe back in our grandparents' generation, maybe. Um, but like
Well,
I feel like that's not a thing anymore. That I wish I would have been a part of because I wish I would have, you know, seen
yeah.
that. You
You
know.
know what? Here's one for you. When I was growing up on 10th and Locust in Milwaukee, um, the neighbors. in that neighborhood basically raised each other's kids. It was crazy the way that worked. I mean, you knew your neighbor to the left and to the right because they protected you from crime and craziness that would go on. People still breaking the houses the way they did back then, but your neighbor to the left, to the right of you, and back of you, they would all know you. And, when it push came to shove, if somebody was cooking greens or whatever, a bunch of food or something, they would bring it to your house, period. They would help feed your family, and they would help protect you. And believe me, I knew most of the neighbors. In fact, I knew basically all the neighbors on my block on both sides of the street growing up on 10th and Locust. I remember one time I couldn't have been no more than 5, 6 years old. I remember it like it's yesterday. I run out into the street and my neighbor, Mr. Jenkins, that's what his name was. He was married to a Korean woman. And Mr. Jenkins had a bunch of cute daughters, and he ran out in the street, got me, whooped my butt. Whooped my butt. He lived right next door to me. Whooped my butt, sent my butt home crying, but he got me out the street. That's how they worked back then. You won't see that now. I mean, hey, you go outside and play like you were talking about, Justin, you need a lawyer to go outside and play these days. Just imagine going out and playing and you're playing lawn darts. Forget about it. It's coming over the fence and stepping somebody. It don't happen no more. It's crazy the way things work back then.
That neighbor spanking kids and stuff, you could leave that back in the day.
Yeah,
We don't
man.
have a problem with that. Leave that back
Yeah.
during that time.
Yeah, it was crazy though. It was crazy. But talking about protection was the main thing I was thinking about, because your neighbors would protect you. You didn't, I mean, they would watch your door, your house, and stuff like that. It was crazy. It was crazy. My mother took the bus to work most of the time, and she worked third shift. Third shift. Nobody would bother her. Nobody would bother her because they knew her. She'd get on the bus and go downtown. They knew her.
Yeah. And I got one more. Calling people on the phone. When was the last time you made a phone call to somebody that you wanted to talk to instead of just sending them a text message? No, it's like seriously think about that question. Like, when was the last time you gave somebody a phone call that you said, like, you know what, let me call this person instead of sending them this text message? People don't use the phone no more as far as like calling people up. Like, folks were like, you know what, let me just send this message. It accomplishes the same thing, I guess. But like, when was the last time you just called somebody and said, hey, I want to hear your voice?
I want to see how you're doing.
Right. And so like that's another part of like the past that I feel like kind of needs to come back because like I feel like even using the phone to make phone calls, helps sharpen your conversation skills. It helps to, you know, interpersonal, communication where people, can carry a conversation like because like I feel like the art of conversation has kind of died down because a lot of people don't know how to have conversations. They all they know how to do is text, and I feel like that's a social skill that's lacking too because like you'll have somebody like because I remember Daddy used to tell me like he had a boss that he'd be like 5 feet away from him. He'll send him an email instead of, just going across the hall to talk to him. And it's like, that's the type of thing that I feel like people are gonna be dealing with more and more, as this society becomes more connected through technology, we become more disconnected in a way where, our social skills suffer like this. And so
Mhm.
I feel like, it's kind of a double-edged sword. I feel like when the people who created social media, and all of this technology to connect us, didn't really anticipate, that we would be leaning on it and depending on it so much to the point where our old way of communication would just completely go out the window.
In order to get connected, we disconnected, you
Right.
know. See what I'm saying? It's funny about this technology thing because when I had to manage a big group of people, I had to get used to this format that we're in now, multiple people on the screen. I had my first meeting with this one group. It had to be about 40 people on a Saturday morning. They're introducing me as the new manager in charge of this call center. And it was something new for me because this was I wasn't doing COVID. No, I wasn't doing COVID, but it was the first time I really got connected online as a group like that and had to start using this technology because a lot of these people worked remotely, you know. Different. It's a real different type of a thing to be disconnected and connected at the same time, you know. And I don't like to be, I'm gonna be honest with you. I know you three like to work from home. Justin, not so much. You can't work from home anymore. But Bobby and Ryan, they love working from home. They love work. I hate it.
I sure
I
do.
can't. I hate working from home.
I mean,
You
the
know.
only time I got to work from home was during COVID, but hey,
Yeah.
that got shut down kind of quick as far as like me working from home. And I was only able to teach from home maybe like 2 or 3 months, and that was it.
That was it. But
Yeah.
I hate working from home because I don't know. I feel out of the mix, so to speak. And then when I'm looking at right now, I got 5 screens in front of me. I got 5 screens in front of me. And this was my setup in a call center, right? I felt so disconnected because I couldn't actually go to that person's office and say, I need this or whatever, or I need to see this, I need to see this or whatever. I had all access to everything, you know, and they really had to steer me that way. Oh, Jeff, you got access to it online, you
Mhm.
know. I'm like, I don't want it online. I want it right now, in person,
Mhm.
and it's just something that you got to get used to. But I don't know. That kind of takes me off of it.
That's
But bring me
interesting.
back my violent cartoons, please. You know, bring them
Yeah,
back.
I
I
want to
love.
see. I want to see another episode of Black Dynamite or another season of Black Dynamite. That would be great for me.
Bring back the
Or
Boondocks.
the Boondocks. Hey, speaking
Hmm.
of Black Dynamite, I see him over there. That's a good movie, by the way.
I
Um,
know.
I need to see that. Tony Baker is in that movie, I think.
Yeah.
yeah, he is
Okay.
briefly. Okay, so I got a few that I'll just a few more that I'll run down quick.
Mhm.
One that is kind of nostalgic for me is when we were playing video games when we used to blow into the cartridges to get them to work right.
Sega
Like
Genesis.
the Sega, Nintendo, it would stop working. You blow it like you giving it CPR, and then
Hmm.
put it back in, and it's gonna work. And I was just
What was
telling,
the
let it
purpose of that?
get the dust out, and it works.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you get the dust out and put a whole lot of spit in it, and whatever it
Or
worked.
try to
I was
clean it
telling
with some
Lando about that the
alcohol.
other day. Yeah, it got the job done. So that was kind of funny to me. These we at some point we got uh cable, and I used to watch Nickelodeon a lot. And I remember these shows on Nickelodeon that I really liked, like Double Dare, right, where you would had these competitions and stuff. Kids would compete against teams, kids would compete against other teams, and the loser would get slimed or whatever, right? I remember those types of shows. I don't know if they have a whole lot of those types of shows for kids anymore. There's like Mr. Beast, right, where he's
Or
doing
there was
competitions for kids or for
my favorite sh
adults.
my favorite show. Oh, what was the name of that show? That it was the show with the red balls. That it was for adults though. Wipeout.
Wipeout was hilarious. Nobody
Yeah,
could
Oh,
ever get past those red balls. I've never seen anybody past that first
yeah.
section. They always fall into the water.
But like
But yeah,
that kind of
Grand
reminds
Theft
me of
oh,
like a grown version of Nickelodeon. You know
That's what it
that.
was. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. That was exactly what it was. It was like a grown version of Double Dare because they
yeah.
had those same types of events and obstacles, but for little kids. So
Mm.
I love that stuff. And then those stores, electronic stores, right? So like Circuit City and Radio Shack, and out here, a store called Fry's. Fry's was the biggest electronic store I'd ever seen before in my life.
American,
Like a big warehouse of,
American of Madison. Remember that one?
yeah, that one too. I do remember that one. And just going in and browsing and stuff. And granted, Best Buy is still around, but I can't remember the last time I was in a Best Buy, to be honest with you. And it doesn't feel like it's the same anymore. So that would be something that I kind of miss from back in the day. And then the last one that I have on my list is the old Chuck E. Cheese.
Yeah.
Chuck E. Cheese right now, like, so Layla is old. She's older now, and we don't grown out of Chuck E. Cheese. But when we used to go to Chuck E. Cheese, it was way different than I remember when we were younger. There was no ball pit for maybe
Mm.
probably for good reason, but there was no ball pit. Chucky looked different. He looked like a little baby compared to how the old scary looking
Yeah.
Chucky was that I remember.
Yeah.
It just was it was different.
I mean, Chucky had the Fab. Was it the Fab Freddy? Was it Freddy? Was it? You
Yeah.
know what I'm talking about?
Five Nights of Freddy. He had that
Yeah.
type of look.
He had that type of look where he was a
Yes.
big scary rat. And one thing about Chuck E. Cheese I've
Right.
never understood: why would you have a pizza shop? It must have been from New York. Somebody must have been from New York City who created Chuck E. Cheese. I'm like, how did you have the idea to have your mascot for a pizza shop be a rat, a huge rat? I'm
Yeah,
like,
because in New York, they keep all their garbage at the curb, and most of the garbage is pizza slices, and you see the rats carrying them, literally carrying them down the street.
Yeah. And
and it's
they
like,
as big as the human sized Chuck E. Cheese.
yeah. So I'm like, somebody from Chuck E. Cheese must have been from New York because I'm like, oh yeah, use a rat as the mascot. But like Chuck E. Cheese pizza used to be like the best pizza on the planet. They had some good pizza.
No, but you know what? The thing about it is, back when we were in back when we were going to Chuck E. Cheese, Chucky was a rat.
Mm.
Now he looked like a little mouse.
Yeah.
And I mean,
Yeah.
it was obviously a conscious decision to make him look a little different and all of that.
Soften
So
them up,
and
Mm.
soften
soften
him
them
up.
up.
I think he
Yeah,
probably was scaring too many kids. Maybe that may have
yeah. I
been
tell you, can't get any business with a big rat in your facility. Come on.
it.
But I feel like Chuck E. Cheese. I feel like places like Chuck E. Cheese were really good until like places like Dave and Buster started to come out. Because like I feel like Dave and Buster's kind of copied Chuck E. Cheese's model, where it's like you have food, entertainment, arcade games, and Chuck E. Cheese was like they were kind of cornering that market for a while. Then Dave and Buster's came out, and places like Main Event and all of these places, kind of copied their model. And now I think Chuck E. Cheese is kind of lost in the sauce now, where it's like it's just one of many type of things where it doesn't really have its own special identity anymore.
Well,
Is it
it's
still
geared
in
for
business?
little kids, little.
Is it
Yeah.
still in business?
It's still in business.
It,
It's just for little kids.
Yeah.
Um, for birthdays and stuff like that. But
Okay.
it's still around. Okay, last one for me is during the summer times, we would I would run. Speaking. Okay, you said earlier that little kids didn't actually play outside, or they don't play outside as much as they used to. We played outside a lot, but
mm,
during the summer, I did for an hour or two get excited about being inside in the basement where it was cool and watching
mm,
Imagination Station where it would show Mark Kistler would show us how to draw. But I
Yeah.
would love to watch that show. And then I would love to watch Reading Rainbow with LeVar
Mhm.
Burton. All right, so those are some shows that I wish that the kids today, would be able to watch. And I know that Kistler has a show or a channel on YouTube. It may still be active. There's no more Reading Rainbow, but I think that would be good for the kids to have nowadays that they don't.
Yeah,
But
I feel like it's like
but
because that was under I think um the PBS umbrella, and I think PBS, a lot of their funding has gotten pulled.
that's
But
what happened. Yeah.
yeah, and so like places or things like Imagination Station, Reading Rainbow, Bill Nye the Science Guy, all of these things that got kids interested in school and different topics, just there aren't, I remember Kratz Creatures, like a lot of a lot of these things got kids interested in school, interested in topics that, they probably wouldn't have been exposed to otherwise. But like now, since you got YouTube, I guess like the world is, just, you know, on your phone. I guess there's not a need for this anymore or as much of a need for it, but it's one of those things where I feel like certain companies, once they came on the scene, they kind of monopolized, the market. YouTube kind of took away the need for as many television shows. Amazon took away the need for, going out to, getting things from the store in person. So like a lot of these people had these bright ideas. It's like social media, took a lot of the excitement of meeting people, just out. So like a lot of these people had these ideas of creating these apps that, make a lot of money, and they do, but like they forever have changed the way people behave. And so I feel like it's one of those things where it's like, now that we've had these apps for a while, I feel like, life back then was a lot simpler, and, it forced people to be able to communicate. And like now we don't need to do as much of that. And so, that's something that I wish is, we could, reverse engineer a little bit.
Hmm. Well, I'm glad that we get to communicate on a weekly basis.
There you go.
There you go, right?
Hey,
All
Uh,
right.
I think that's it, guys.
yeah.
All righty. Well, it's been a pleasure as always, and we'll be seeing you next time.
Everybody, please subscribe, like, and share. And we'll catch y'all again on the next episode of the Walker Roundtable.
All right.
Right.
Take care.
Peace.
Peace.